Part 1. The power behind love. You believe love is soft. You call it feeling. You mistake warmth for freedom. Stop that. Love is a game of leverage. Plain. Brutal. True. Look at history. Lovers have always been players. Not saints. Not victims. Players. They bargain. They trade. They signal. They withdraw. They punish with absence. They reward with access. You think romance is separate from power. It is not. Power runs through every conversation, every text, every withheld reply. Here is a rule. If you want influence, you must understand leverage. Leverage is scarcity. Leverage is meaning. Leverage is consequence. Without it, your promises are hollow. Without it, your presence is cheap. You become a commodity. Love then is just a subscription service with a cancel button. Ask the modern context. Half of adults live their social lives through curated feeds. Attention is currency. The platforms harvest it. You hand it over. They monetize it. Your intimacy becomes an algorithmic product. Half of US adults use Instagram. Platform attention shapes desires and expectations. Pew Research Center. This matters to you. Because the theater of desire now happens under surveillance. You perform. They perform back. Authenticity becomes performative. You cannot win if you are always acting. You must own your frame. Power needs two engines. Desire and fear. Never one without the other. Desire invites approach. Fear enforces respect. If you lead only with desire, you are loved and then ignored. If you rule only with fear, you are obeyed and then avoided. Combine them and you become consequential. A practical metric. Give someone 100% of your time. Watch how fast interest dries. Give small, unpredictable withdrawals. Watch attention spike. Scarcity works. People value what they risk losing. This is not cruelty. This is biology. It is incentive structure. Use it to choose wisely, not to break people. Now the danger. Many men confuse control and domination. Control is stewardship. Domination is theft. One builds, the other destroys. If you decide to steward another's life, to steward a relationship, ask, what am I protecting? What am I sacrificing? You must be willing to hold both life and limits. Otherwise, you are only practicing tyranny. Example in plain numbers. Divorce and marriage statistics show modern relationships are fragile but also stable in some ways. Unions rebound to pre-pandemic levels while divorce rates fall marginally. The landscape is shifting, not collapsing. Know the terrain. Don't romanticize chaos. This is what Machiavelli leaves you when his letters are burned. Not cruelty. Strategy. Not hatred. Clarity. He teaches you to analyze incentives. He teaches you to inspect outcomes. You cannot apply his lessons as a manual for manipulation. Apply them as a manual for self-mastery. Learn the architecture of attachment. Reinforce your position. Then choose generosity. 2 clear actions. First, audit your availability. Track where your time goes for 1 week. Record. Decide what you will keep. Decide what you will remove. Second, stop conflating exposure with intimacy. Presence is not intimacy. Depth is an investment, not a byproduct. CTA, test your boundaries this week. Know what happens. CTA, remove one non-essential channel of availability. Measure the shift.
Part 2. The discipline of trust. Trust is not a gift. It is a contract. You write it slowly. You sign it with deeds, not words. Trust broken is a wound. It heals, but it scars. And scars reroute behavior. They set alarms inside you. Those alarms are useful. They tell you what to guard. They tell you where to be cautious. Society talks about trust as virtue. That's advertising. Real life treats trust like risk management. You calculate. You probe. You calibrate. The smart man tests trust, not to entrap, to inform his commitment. Look at the data. Americans are divided on whether people can be trusted. In the most direct measures, only about a third say most people can be trusted. A reminder that generalized trust is low in a complex world. But if you frame the question differently, more people say they can trust some or most people in their neighborhoods. Trust is granular. It is contextual. Pew Research Center. +1. Know what to test. Consistency. Confidentiality. Courage. Small promises. Big promises. Lie detectors are not necessary. Observation is. Ask for what matters. See if they deliver. A person who keeps small things keeps large ones more often than not. Trust is iterative. Build it by stages. Reveal a small risk. See the response. Scale. Reveal a larger risk. See the response again. Trust, like muscle, is grown with tension. If you sprint into vulnerability without calibration, you become prey to disappointment. Now the ethics. Testing trust is not deception. It is prudence. You do not engineer betrayals to validate faith. You create situations where intent naturally shows. You watch how someone behaves under minor pressure. Does she defend your name? Does he respect your time? Does she return calls when it matters? These are real measures. They have consequences. Example, digital intimacy. Many couples share passwords as proof of fidelity. That's a blunt instrument. It may indicate short-term security, but it often trades long-term autonomy for temporary reassurance. Some data show a majority of couples share passwords or accounts in some settings. Small acts have outsized meaning. Decide the trade-off. ebsgo.com. A caveat. Over-testing is corrosive. Suspicion deployed like a lance will pierce your own armor. If you cannot act without double-checking every motive, you live in anxiety. The goal is not to cultivate paranoia. The goal is to create a reliable map of another's reliability. Test to know, then decide to trust or not. 2 clear actions. First, pick one relationship. Apply a stage test. Ask for a small favor that matters emotionally. Observe, record, decide. Second, practice transparent expectation setting. Say what you need. Measure the response. Reward consistency with expanded responsibility. Run one small, honest test this week. Record the outcome. State one clear expectation. Hold the line. You asked for strategy. You got discipline. You asked for cold counsel. You got limits. Machiavelli did not teach cruelty. He taught clarity. Use it to protect what matters. Use it to become a man or woman who gives and receives power wisely. Part 3. Control. The balance of desire and fear. Control isn't about domination. It's balance. Every influence you hold, over yourself, over others, lies between 2 forces, desire and fear. Desire pulls people toward you. Fear keeps them from taking you for granted. If you lean too far into desire, you become easy to reach, easy to read, easy to forget. If you rely too much on fear, you isolate yourself. People follow you out of obligation, not conviction. The art is equilibrium. In psychology, the push-pull dynamic defines nearly every close bond. The nervous system registers both attraction and threat in the same circuitry. That's why relationships oscillate between craving and retreat. Your job isn't to suppress the swings. It's to understand the mechanics, to know when to advance, when to hold. Modern power doesn't shout. It calibrates. Think of negotiation studies. People who mirror emotions subtly and maintain a calm tone reach agreements more often than those who posture dominance. That's not softness. That's control disguised as composure. The same principle rules self-command. Your impulses are ancient. They want the instant. They fear loss. The disciplined mind learns to harness both, wanting enough to move forward, fearing enough to stay sharp. You don't silence appetite. You train it. You don't erase fear. You use it as data. Consider leadership. In crisis, the best commanders project limited vulnerability. They admit risk, but never surrender certainty. Troops follow that ratio, 70% confidence, 30% realism. Any less and morale dies. Any more and hubris kills. That's the model for internal control too. When you speak, measure your tone. When you feel anger rise, delay your response by 1 breath. Studies on emotional regulation show even a 5-second pause reduces impulsive reactions by half. Precision begins in pause. Control yourself before you try to steer anyone else. Keep desire alive, it gives you purpose. Keep fear awake, it keeps you precise. Both are instruments. Play them, don't be played by them. Run one experiment. This week, withhold one reaction you'd normally give instantly. Note how the power shifts. And when someone tries to provoke you, don't explain. Just observe. Silence often commands more space than any defense ever could. Part 4. Ego and the cost of power. Ego is the hidden tax on every victory. It whispers that you're the reason the plan worked. It tells you you've earned comfort, that you're above correction. That whisper destroys empires quietly. Look back through history. The fall of Rome wasn't sudden invasion. It was internal rot. Generals fighting for prestige, senators for legacy, citizens for spectacle, each convinced of his own importance. Ego turned a republic into a graveyard. In psychology, the Dunning-Kruger curve explains the same decay in modern language. When confidence outpaces competence, blindness follows. The ego hates feedback because feedback punctures illusion. Yet the strongest leaders invite it. They build circles of honest critics, not flattering mirrors. Here's the paradox: you need some ego to act. Total humility paralyzes. But unchecked ego erases perspective. The goal isn't to kill it, it's to leash it. The moment you feel untouchable, measure the distance between who you are and who you were. Ask, what did hunger feel like before praise dulled it? If you can't answer, you're drifting into delusion. Ego also poisons love. You start treating admiration as oxygen. You compare, you compete, you posture. The relationship becomes a scoreboard. Studies show partners who constantly defend being right report lower satisfaction than those who prioritize resolution. Ego trades intimacy for dominance and wins nothing lasting. Detach your worth from outcome. The win doesn't define you. The discipline that produced it does. Detach your identity from applause. Attention fades. Mastery remains. Detach your self-image from status. The higher you climb, the clearer the fall. To counter ego, practice small humility drills. Ask for input from someone beneath your rank. Admit one mistake publicly. Refuse one compliment you know is unearned.
Part 5. The story wins, not the truth. Facts matter less than perception. Always have. Always will. History doesn't remember the exact truth. It remembers the narrative that dominates attention. If you want influence, you must master this principle. Look around. Media, politics, social media, the most repeated story becomes reality. Reality itself bends to repetition. A single lie repeated in 1,000 ways gains weight. The human mind craves coherence over complexity, drama over nuance. Truth is messy. Narrative is clean. Narrative rules. In relationships, the same law applies. People rarely react to your intentions. They react to the story they construct in their heads. Two partners witness the same argument. Each leaves convinced they were right. Each spins a private narrative. Most conflicts aren't about events. They're about interpretation. Consider history's great manipulators. Machiavelli didn't advise lying for pleasure. He advised shaping perception strategically, so your opponents act on your terms. Napoleon understood this instinctively. Victory was not the battlefield alone. It was how the battlefield was remembered. Propaganda preceded conquest. Now bring it home. In daily life, your reputation is the container of your power. It's not what you did that counts. It's what others believe you did. Professional studies confirm this. In workplaces, employees' evaluations correlate far more with perceived competence than actual output. Your image is leverage. This is not about deception for its own sake. It's about controlling the frame in which truth is interpreted. You can tell the truth, but if the narrative is lost, the truth becomes irrelevant. People judge the story, not the facts. How to act. Always shape the narrative of your actions before others do. Avoid unnecessary explanations. Let actions speak, but contextualize them subtly. Correct misunderstandings with calm precision, never rage. Rage fuels a counterstory. Protect the high ground of perception. It compounds over time. Metrics matter. Track your influence in small feedback loops. Who repeats your words? Who mentions your contributions without prompting? Who misrepresents your intentions? Each is data. Each tells you where the narrative bends and where it breaks. The story does not forgive mistakes. It does not honor morality. It honors memory, repetition, and clarity. You want respect? You want power? Shape the story. Let others chase the facts. This week, rewrite one event that recently caused tension in your life. Frame it in a way that emphasizes your agency, without fabricating. Notice the effect. And monitor one conversation where your narrative is being ignored. Intervene subtly. Observe the shift in attention and influence. Control the story, or the story will control you. Part 6. Desire, Discipline, and the Inner Empire. Desire is not weakness. Desire is fuel. It drives ambition. It draws people in. It tells you what matters. Ignore it, and life becomes gray. Worship it blindly, and it devours you. The key is discipline. Discipline tempers desire. It converts instinct into power. Look at the strongest men in history, not the ones with the largest armies, but the ones who mastered themselves first. Alexander had fire. Caesar had vision. Every victory began internally. Desire gave them targets. Discipline delivered them. Desire without discipline is chaos. Discipline without desire is emptiness. Together, they form an inner empire. Your mind is the capital. Every thought you allow, every impulse you indulge, builds or destroys it. Social media, endless scrolling, reactive anger, these are invasions. They erode your mental sovereignty. They sell fleeting satisfaction in exchange for lost attention. Attention is currency. Squander it, and you impoverish yourself. Study yourself. Map your triggers. Identify what gives you energy and what steals it. Discipline is not punishment. It is architecture. You are constructing a fortress of will. Each habit, each choice, each delay of gratification is a stone in the wall. Without it, desire becomes a storm that shatters you. Consider the modern metrics. Self-control predicts outcomes better than IQ. Those who can defer gratification consistently earn more, lead longer, and achieve greater influence. Walter Mischel's famous marshmallow experiment wasn't about candy. It was about self-command. The principle is the same for you today, but control is active. It is not abstinence alone. Desire must be acknowledged, understood, and directed. You want something? Analyze it. Why? How? To what end? Unchecked wanting creates dependency. Strategic wanting creates leverage. Leverage over your own future. Your inner empire has guards, rituals, boundaries, limits. Morning routines, selective consumption, measured social exposure. These are the gates. You protect your attention. You defend your focus. Every compromise chips away at sovereignty. Every concession to distraction is a breach. 2 clear actions this week. Identify one desire you chase compulsively. Restrict it deliberately. Measure the effect on energy and clarity. Establish one daily boundary to protect focus. No exceptions. Observe the internal shift. Desire is your raw material. Discipline is your forge. Together, they build strength that no external force can dismantle. Without them, you are merely reacting. With them, you create. With them, you rule.
ChatGPT said, Part 7, the final lesson, freedom as power. Freedom is a word most men misuse. They think it means doing what they want. It doesn't. Real freedom is control over your mind, over your impulses, over your environment. Without it, every choice is dictated by circumstance, by habit, by the desires of others. You are free only when nothing rules you but your own will. Look closely. Modern life pretends to offer freedom. Endless choices, infinite scrolling, constant connectivity. It is a mirage. You think you choose, but algorithms, social pressures, and habits shape your actions more than you realize. The illusion is comfortable. That is why it survives. Freedom is rare because it is difficult. It demands awareness, courage, and sacrifice. The strongest men never waited for freedom to arrive. They seized it internally first. They built their routines, mastered their emotions, and defined their values. They created a personal empire no one could dismantle. External conditions may fluctuate, but internal sovereignty is inviolable. Desire, discipline, perception, and trust all serve this empire. Each skill you've honed in this series, power and love, measured trust, balancing desire and fear, taming ego, controlling narrative, mastering self, converges here. Freedom is not granted by systems or people. It is taken. And once taken, it must be guarded relentlessly. The world will push against it. Friends will demand compliance. Lovers will expect acquiescence. Society will impose distraction. Every day presents small battles. Yielding slowly erodes freedom faster than a single catastrophe. Metrics of mastery are subtle. You will feel less agitation, less reactive emotion. You will notice people respond differently, not out of fear or manipulation, but respect for the consistency you radiate. Your time becomes your own, your attention selective, your decisions deliberate. These are signs you hold internal freedom. The paradox: freedom does not mean indulgence. It means sovereignty. Desire is acknowledged, but controlled. Emotions are observed, not surrendered to. Influence is exercised, not abused. Your life becomes intentional. Every action a choice, every reaction measured. That is the power others envy but cannot steal. 2 actions to close the cycle.